This is here. I got an up close and personal escort through a smoke-filled house with holding on to Lucas's coat, so to speak. What I'm saying is the fire department had a controlled burn up on Ospey Hill Road this past Saturday, and invited Limerick and Alfred. It was a well-organized affair. And from what I'd heard from people that have been at these things before, said that it was one of the best training sessions they'd been to. So I applaud the Waterboro Fire Department for putting together a real good training session that really got 3 fire departments involved. I was impressed with the organization of it, the safety of it, and I personally had an opportunity to see what it was like in a smoke-filled house, and it's dark in there. But it was an excellent training session.
Will the Finance Committee be concerned about the 50 pounds of marshmallows that was purchased?
There were some potato chips and sandwiches made. Yeah.
Be nice.
Do we have anything else to report? I do, if we could knock the lights here for a moment, Dennis, if you don't mind. I just would like to give the board and the viewing public an opportunity to become updated on the situation that we had up on Derigo Drive. If we could continue with the slides, David. Okay, this is the section that we're talking about. This is off the West Road. This is Derigo Drive here, which leads up into, what is it, Windy Way. And it's this particular section of road that was the cause of some concern when a small child, or I don't know how small it was, but a child was riding a bicycle and it went through the pavement along the edge of the road there. You can see where he went through, and what caused this weakness here was that there was a section underneath this road that had been eroded away, due to obvious weather conditions. It doesn't look as though this particular piece would be, significant in and of itself, but like I say, it was undermining the road. This is the opposite side of the road from where you just saw that opening in the pavement, and this is how it was washing out the other side. And this is just an overview of the preliminary steps that were taken by the road commissioner. What they did was they constructed a bypass around here for the number of houses that are on the other side of that, because this is the only way in and the only way out of this development. And we can continue. This is the brook in question right here, and it travels along in this direction. This is just where they were excavating out to try to find this is the culvert that was the cause of concern. You can see the extensive rust on that, and at one point, because of the weight and everything, that it actually bowed this particular culvert. This is the opposite side. You're looking now back towards the West Road. The West Road's up here. The brook is down below. There's actually, from this rock down to where that is, it's about 8 feet. You don't have that quite that perception from this photograph, but there's about an 8-foot drop right there. And you can see the transition. These are shots that I took this morning around 10:30. So my presumption is that they've pretty well got that, all leveled out right now, and it's probably going to be ready for paving. I know that I spoke with the road commissioner this afternoon, and he's making contact with the company that has the correct tools to drive the posts in for the guardrails, which we're going to reuse all the existing guardrails that had been taken up prior to this construction effort. Again, this is just some of the cleanup of that particular section of road. So anybody that has any questions regarding this? Also like to make you aware that the culverts have arrived for the Mass Camp Road, and that will be the next project. They have been down there cutting brush, and they'll be working on that shortly. Anything else to report from the board? Committee reports. Code Enforcement Officer, if you'd be so kind.
Patiently waiting. I'm going to try to make this quick. Since June 1st, our office has processed 34 building permits, one of which has been a new house. The rest have been additions, decks, garages. It has been confirmed as of last week that the deck violation on East Shore Road has been removed, and the $1,000 consent fee was paid. So that has been corrected. There was another small violation on Courtney Lane, which is off West Shore Road, a shed and a patio that was constructed within 100 feet of the water. That has been removed and brought into compliance without much force from the town. It was voluntarily complied with. The junkyard on Hamilton Road has been cleaned up. That property was sold and the new owners cleaned it up so that we didn't have to take anybody to court. That's always nice. I'm still working on 3 other fairly large violations, which I have already reported to the board, and we're just in the process of those. And I'll say them again: 181 West Shore Road, 51 Bradburn Road, and 17 Laddie Lane are still in the process of being between the town attorney and court. The zoning board voted this evening at 5:30 to uphold my decision to rescind the building permit at 7 Moon Shadow Drive, which means they don't have a valid building permit. And there's a 45-day appeal period on that decision that started today, that they could appeal that to Superior Court if they so choose. But that's an update on that. And the only other thing is that I've reported this to you, but not to the public, that I passed the 80K certification exam by the State Planning Office, and I'm now certified in that as well. And I would ask the board to please include me as the local 911 coordinator, 911, and the state E911 coordinator in the meeting with the fire department and any police agencies, because I think, especially the state, I think they could have some good input, productive input into this process.
Could you facilitate that?
I can, yep.
Okay. We'll provide you with a date, and you can facilitate it further from that.
And that is all I have.
Can you advise me on what the purpose is of a $200 application fee for a building permit?
That is a $200 application fee for a growth permit. We have a growth ordinance,
Okay.
growth management ordinance, that we enacted in around 2000 or 2002, around that time, when we were processing 127 new homes a year. And we went by the 10-year average and adopted an ordinance that limited new houses to 80 per year. We very recently just amended that. We have to amend that, relook at it every 3 years, basing it on the 10-year average plus 5%, I think. So we reduced it to 74 per year, last year, I think. We did 13 last year, and 23 the year before. We're not anywhere near 74 or 80 that the growth management ordinance limits us to. But because we did not get rid of that ordinance, we still have, it's still in place and there's still an application process. That's the $200 fee that I think you're
What does the $200 pay for?
monitoring the growth ordinance.
Is that, in your estimation, is that $200 fee still viable at this point? And the reason I'm asking is I had someone call me, regarding that, and they thought that that particular fee was a little exorbitant. And I'm just wondering if it's still viable. If it is, then fine, and if it isn't, then we probably ought to have the appropriate entity take a look at that, to revisit it, to see, if we're just making things difficult for somebody to try to build a home here.
The question goes back, is the growth ordinance still viable? If the answer is yes, if the growth ordinance is still viable, then the fees that are come along and are associated with that are probably viable as well. But I think we had that discussion of we have a growth ordinance in a time when there's not a lot going on. So naturally, everybody looks at all of those fees and that. If people were lined up to get permits here, because there's a boom all of a sudden, and we manage how many permits that we release, then those fees associated with that don't even come into question.
Right.
Because people want the building permits. So the bigger question is given the economic times, is the growth ordinance still valid, right? And I think if you were to say no because of the economic times, I think you also got to say, okay, what happens in a year when the economic times may turn around and all of a sudden, I mean, we've seen one development being approved down on West Road. We've got or off from West Road, the pole line. They're not
That's
approved yet.
right.
I mean, that's in the process. I mean, there are some things going on that could put us back into, we want to control only X amount of homes per year. So that's the bigger question in my mind, not, I understand that people that are trying to, coming to get a permit are paying the fee, but ultimately, the bigger question is because that's all associated with the growth ordinance.
Yes. And way back when we were doing 120 permits a year, we had a 2-year waiting period. You had to pay $200 to get a growth permit, and you might not get it for 2 years. So I had a little bit of an issue with collecting $200 this year for work that we're going to do not next year, maybe the year after.
But
I mean,
not-
we
but
weren't-
that process is not unique to the town of Waterboro.
No, but right now, I think the economy probably is managing the growth.
Not the fees.
Right, there's no line. We're not doing much processing.
I'm wondering if, the whole thing still has merit, or if it's something that needs to be looked at again, and if so, who does the looking? And, if it's this board, or if it's the planning board,
This
or...
is the planning board, I think, for the last sit-down, right, was,
Right. The selectmen can initiate a zoning, or propose zoning, even to look at the question, or the planning board could, and I think the ordinance says the code enforcement officer can, but the selectmen certainly can if you guys,
Yeah, if there's, a large volume of building, I can understand the impact that it would have on the code enforcement office and the
It's more than-
infrastructure of
right.
the town, in terms of, roads and fire protection and law enforcement and so forth. But, I don't know. Maybe I could, talk with you more in your office about it to get a better understanding of it, but there was some concern. And I knew you were coming, so I thought I'd address it here. Anyone else have any question or comment?
thank
Thank you
you.
very much,
Thanks,
appreciate
Dave.
it. Thank you for, sticking around. We're going to dispense with the report from the Saco River Corridor. We do have in our packet a communication from the Assessor. I don't think that I'm going to take and read it at this time because it was fairly lengthy. He is off at a school right now, and that's why he couldn't be in attendance tonight. I think the first item of business was to vote on the road name change. I think we've already discussed that, and we're going to be moving on. Item 2, to discuss and vote on the tractor type purchase. I'd entertain a motion, if it requires it, to postpone that to our August 9th meeting, because the road commissioner is meeting with representatives from Caterpillar. It's my understanding from talking with the road commissioner that the transmission has worsened on the piece of equipment that we have down at the...
I move to table it until the next meeting, next selectmen's meeting.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to table this matter to the next meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
I would like to interject that as a board, I feel we need to stay within, and I know everybody well, but there's a lot of expenses coming out of the road department. And we have a budget to work with, and that's what we need to stick with. And if it's all spent by September 1st, then it's spent. But we have a budget, we need to stay to it.
The next item up for discussion is something that was a carryover from a previous meeting, and it was to discuss and vote on the cleanup of the town pit. And there is, I guess, conflicting accounts of exactly what this means. I spoke with the town administrator on it, and she was of the opinion that it had to do with the, and correct me if I'm wrong here, that it was stuff from the construction down there that was moved to this pit. And according to the transfer station director, it was the movement of, I guess, some vehicles and so forth that the fire department used in connection with training. So I'm not sure exactly what this pertains to, and if anyone else on the board can enlighten me, that I would appreciate that. What we're trying to figure out is what account we're going to charge this to.
Boy, you talked to me, I thought maybe you were talking about when they were burning cars down there. Because I know Fred they did have to clean up some of that. I cleaned up a lot of it, and they cleaned up the rest. I mean, it wasn't a big mess.
I thought this issue was all the excavated
That's right.
gravel from the new compactor was put down into the pit. Per the direction, by the way, of the previous road commissioner.
That's right.
Okay? Now we have a road commissioner saying, well, it's all in my way, right? And it needs to be cleaned up. So we're gonna take money from one pocket and put it in the other pocket. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, if it's good gravel and it can be used, right? I would presume that at some point in time, we're gonna start crushing this year's gravel needs, crushed gravel needs, and I guess the question is can that be used? I mean, I can't imagine we're just gonna hire somebody to plow it up in a big pile.
Well,
So I guess my reaction, I guess, is that the road commissioner, current road commissioner, and Clint and the town administrator ought to get together and say, does it have to be moved? Can it be moved as we consume it in the crushing project? And I know that there's some concern about how much money we raise for crushing, but the fact of the matter is that it's gravel. It's not trash. It's just a matter of, is it in the way or it isn't in the way?
I called around today to see if I could find out roughly what it was worth. And Pepin over here was the only one that would really give me a quote, and he said at least $5.50 a yard is what it's worth.
Well, it's not an argument of what it's
I know,
worth. It's a
but-
matter of, if it's gravel that can be used by the town, which I would presume that it would be, all right?
I mean,
Are we gonna spend money just to move it?
You know, I'm going to look at something that's, I think, systemic here, and this is a part of it. That we have a whole bunch of stuff on here that's presented to us as problems, and we bat it around and bat it around. What I'd like to see is, this is a problem, this is how we're planning on fixing it, and telling us how we're going to fix it, and if you need an okay, come in here with a solution to the problem, rather than throwing the problems and letting 5 people bat it around. That's what takes so much time.
I agree.
I would suggest that the road commissioner move it to where it can be used for crushing.
My concern, and I guess I need to talk to Doug about it, is why is it in the way? What are we doing with that area?
Does it block the road so they can't get down there?
no, it's at the very back end of the pit. It's where they dug out last year, all the gravel. And, well, you were at the meeting, Dennis was at all the meetings we had. I mean, this stuff is, I would say, super, you know.
It's top A gravel.
Yeah.
And John is absolutely right. We're batting this around, and we got the wrong players in the room.
We don't know, you know?
See, I don't understand why it can't be crushed right there and put right in the pile. It's right there. But, I know, it may be this way to get...
This is one of David's comments of, if I make a motion, will you be quiet? But I would move that that this just be resolved between the town administrator, road commissioner, and
Yeah.
it's town money. Are we gonna go spend money to move stuff around only when we could consume it? I don't know. But I'd move that, let them resolve this.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to let the road commissioner, the transfer station director, and the town administrator resolve this issue. And it's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. That's all. Discuss the sidewalk plowing bid.
Is there an issue with it? I mean, I know that there was an issue with performance, but the bid itself is, I think, a valid bid, or a valid bid package, right? So are we gonna go, is the administrator looking for our authority to go back out to bid?
I believe that's the case, yes.
I would make a motion that the town administrator put the plowing bid, sidewalk plowing bid back out to bid.
If it needs any tweaking, to tweak it.
So none of the new truck had nothing to do with sidewalks, it
No.
was strictly lots, right?
Right.
Okay, all right.
I have a motion to direct the town administrator to go out to bid for sidewalks. I need a second.
Second.
It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Discuss and vote on the asphalt contract. I guess the issue is, can we extend the current contract? Does the language within that contract allow us to do that, or do we have to go out to bid again?
I'm not sure that there is a contract. I think we have typically gone out on an annual basis and got quotes for certain tonnage, or by the ton. We gave those bidders an overall view of this is what we may be doing, which represents X amount of tons. What are you gonna lay the tonnage for? And that's what we've typically awarded. It didn't, there wasn't a contract that said you're gonna pave a mile of this road and 3 miles of that road and whatnot. I think there should be, for that argument, but the road commissioner has typically directed them to where they are gonna do the paving. And what, the only involvement we got into is who had the best price? Carroll or Dayton or, I think Commercial's out of it now, but, or Pike, right?
Again, the same thing, I'd like the administrator to say, we need to need to renew the contract, or we don't need to renew it. My recommendation is to stay with last year's, and come in and tell us what she feels needs to be done here.
If she needs some input from the road commissioner, then that's,
And then she gets it from the road commissioner, but that happens before you come to the meeting.
you wanna put that in a motion, John?
That's
I'll second it.
my motion, is I want a recommendation from the administrator.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to have a recommendation from the town administrator regarding the asphalt bid or asphalt contract, however that washes out. Is there any, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. The next item on the agenda is just, it's more of informational at this point. It's town equipment rates. Apparently, in discussions with the road commissioner, he's having difficulty finding people that will work for the rates that the town currently has when he tries to get people with, equipment, whether it be wheelers or, other types of things. There's actually a chart, I guess. And right now, it's in the hands of the road review committee. They're going through it, I guess, line by line or piece of equipment by piece of equipment to determine what the, the market value is on that, so that we're at least
Well, there are two issues.
on the ballpark.
There's what is perceived as a market value by the contractors. There's a state rate that says this is what the state will pay. And I think we need to look at both of those. I mean, ultimately, this is a selectman's schedule of what we'll pay, right? We approved it back
It's 4
in
years-
August,
it's 4 years
August
old.
of 2007. So certainly needs to be looked at, but again, between the road review committee, the road commissioner, and the town administrator, I would hope that someone would present to us what we should consider.
And as I said, this was only informational at this point to let you be prepared that it is going to be coming up for more in-depth discussion in the future.
I would again ask for information and a recommendation. Rather than just information, you make the decision, information, recommendation, then we'll make the decision.
I would like to see the state rates involved also.
State rates are published rate, and I know we used those last time to,
I'm told we're in a recession and people are out of work, so I can't see how the rates are going up. But
Well, the comment that I got from the road commissioner was what he got from someone else, that rather than work for the rate that the town has to offer, I'd rather have my trucks just sit in the yard because I lose money.
well,
is that one person, or is that a group?
Well, that was, I guess, more than one, but I
mean, I don't know what kind of wheelers we're hiring, but at $48 to $50 an hour for a wheeler, I can't imagine that it would be cheaper to have it set at home rather than get paid that minuscule amount of money.
I guess it's the combination of fuel and what you have to pay
Yep.
the operator and stuff. By the time all is said and done, there's not that much of a, I guess, profit margin. I'm just relaying the information for informational purposes, that's it. Okay, discuss and vote on the request for an amendment for the zoning change to be forwarded to the planning board. Fortunately, I'm not really cognizant of what that's all about. I had hoped that the town administrator would be here this evening to,
Well, in the packet, it looks like somebody has a piece of property in the F and A zone,
yeah, this is the Anderson property.
right,
Yeah,
and they would
I
like
did
to
see-
split it, or they would like to have it rezoned into the A&R zone, which is pretty extensive departure from where it is today, other than that the other side of the road is in fact the A&R zone, but it is spot zoning to say the least, which we already had, have an issue with down in the village zone when we made the change for Mike Allen. And one of the reasons that we were concerned about that was we asked the planning board to look at other areas of the village that might have similar instances. And I would say if we pass this on, I mean, it is a request, so we need to pass it on to the planning board, but I guess my recommendation to the planning board would be is, are there other areas along that area or other F&A areas within the community that should be reconsidered to be rezoned to A&R? I don't think it should be just a, hey, I'm in the F&A zone and I'd like to split my lot, so I need a zoning change. But that's.
I'd like to see a master plan
Yeah,
here,
I
you know?
mean, but the procedure says somebody can solicit us to have a zoning change, and so they have a right to that. And
Falling in line with this, back in February, if we would recall, when we were dealing with the Allen situation, we made a request, and I believe we asked that it be in writing to the planning board. And I think, if my memory serves me correctly, that Dennis was going to bring that to them, that they would have to have a response back to us within 45 days. And it's certainly been that length of time and more, and we have heard nothing. And the information that I had received was that they hadn't even looked at it as of yet.
I don't know, I think we need that, I guess, an answer from the planning board, so. And I'm not sure that we ever had anything in writing from them. I think we went to a meeting and had that discussion, but I'm not sure that.
It wasn't from them. We had sent them the request in writing.
Right. I'm not sure that they had the request in writing, but the initial request, yes. And then we said we needed them to follow up on that because they did come back to us with the recommendation on the Allen property. So let's just make sure that we have documentation that they have a letter from us.
You're talking the planning board or the Allen?
Planning board.
Yeah, it was, I guess the particular piece of property in question was, I hope I get this right, Delmar?
No, it was all of the other properties in the village zone that had been, the Allen property had been, the zone had been created by the brook. Not the lot lines, but the brook line. And his request is that the zone be extended over the brook line to his property line. What we asked for is that other properties that are in that same area that had that same phenomena happen to them, should in fact they be changed as well. I don't think we have an answer for that from them yet. So, and I think you're right, we talked about having a written communications. I'm not sure that written communications ever happen, other than me going to a meeting and talking to them about it.
So do we need to direct a written communication to the,
I think we need.
The planning
We
board?
certainly have, we should put in writing a request to them.
Yeah.
Do they have this resolved? Yeah.
okay, I will move that it's under the direction of the town administrator that we get a written request for their recommendation for zoning changes in that area.
With regards to this request, a little off the this is what's on the agenda. I think that they have paid the $100, which is required to request a change. It comes to the board, and I think that this needs to be sent to the planning board.
You want to piggyback that on to my motion?
Yeah. And I guess along with John's motion, that this request be presented to the planning board for their consideration.
I will go along with that.
So you're amending your motion to include both property situations. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second it if we didn't.
It's been moved and seconded to refer to the planning board, the request for zoning change and the request to review the village area in East Waterboro. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Next item on the agenda is to discuss and vote committee appointments. We have 3 this evening, 2 for the cemetery committee and 1 for the Saco River Corridor Commission. As I think we're all familiar with the Saco River Corridor Commission applicant, I would entertain a motion to
So moved. To
approve Sean Shoemaker, or reappoint Sean Shoemaker
the Saco River Corridor Commission.
for a term of 3 years to expire on June 30th, 2014.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded to reappoint Sean Shoemaker to the Saco River Corridor Commission. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. If you would enter on the action list to have appointment papers for Mr. Shoemaker made up. Thank you.
Are these 2 that are requesting to go to the cemetery committee, they're reapplying? Because I thought they were on.
I'm not familiar with either one of them. So,
McLaughlin and...
Morrill, Justin Morrill.
I believe they were both on the cemetery committee.
Whoever,
Justin Morrill.
yeah, he came on,
And Chandra McLaughlin.
she came on.
Okay,
Plus there
so,
were 3 others.
So both of these are new?
well,
No,
they,
no, they're renewals.
They're renewals.
You have 3
Okay.
other potential renewals.
well, we made a couple already, but,
I think you did Donna and Dorothy, Drew, and
Yeah.
Jim.
yeah.
All right, if they're renewals, then I would entertain,
I will move that both people be appointed to the cemetery committee.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to have Chandra McLaughlin and Justin Morrill reappointed to the Cemetery Committee. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion, excuse me?
Who seconded?
Dennis seconded. Okay. Next item on the agenda is to discuss and vote to set public hearing on the planning board recommendation regarding the Wellhead Protection District.
I move that we have the public hearing, it's like 3 weeks from now. There's 5 Tuesdays this month, right? So the 23rd?
What date?
The
16th?
23rd,
23rd?
just for the lack of any
Okay.
other.
August. Motion's been made to have a public hearing regarding the Wellhead District on August 23rd. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by David. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. The last item of new business is to discuss and vote on an order to correct a malfunctioning wastewater system. In your packet, you should find a communication from the code enforcement officer regarding a certain parcel of property that had been, the septic apparently had been leaching out.
I guess the only question I have, and Patty unfortunately isn't here, but does this also include the design cost of, I mean, it's a malfunctioning system,
Which has been
which I
pumped,
understand, which has been pumped and all of this good stuff, but does it have to be redesigned?
I think, I don't know if it has to or not. Somebody needs, I guess, to make the determination to whether or not it was reaching out because of the overcapacity, or whether there's some defect in the
So is, I
leach field
think,
itself.
so is she looking for, you know, this landowner has pursuant to the standard, right, has 10 days to resolve this matter, or the town has the right to go in and make the repairs. She's not proposing that we make the repairs, right? She's just saying that we need to issue the order. And I guess in that case, I would move that we,
Is this kind of an FYI?
no, I think
item
we
here?
have to initiate the order because it has to be signed by us. So I would move that we initiate the order to correct violation
Yeah,
as presented by the CEO.
second.
It's been moved and seconded to order the abatement of a nuisance according to the State of Maine subsurface wastewater disposal rules as enumerated by the code enforcement officer. Is there any discussion?
You say abatement?
Well,
You are hereby ordered to abate said nuisance. Do you mean to clear it up? It's the-
right, but it goes on to further read, Gordon, that if it is not abated, then this order is not, if this order is not timely complied with, the town may enter the premises and make the necessary repairs to have the malfunction adequately remedied at the municipal expense and recover all expenses, including reasonable attorney fees, from you by means of special tax or civil action. So what we're endorsing is the order to correct the violation.
Yeah.
So it's been seconded, motioned and seconded to vote on the order to correct the particular violation. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. Old business, update on the administrative assistant process. Selectman Woodson and myself, after last week's meeting, I was here for probably 45 minutes, I guess, to an hour after the meeting, going through a list of applicants for that position. We determined those that we felt should go forward, It has been narrowed down to 13 applicants. I came in today and we did that number down to 8, which was the number that David and I had tentatively agreed on as a reasonable number, at least to start off with. And when Nancy gets back tomorrow, it's my understanding that David will come in and do his second culling of the candidates, and then we'll set up the appointment times for the interviews and get the letters sent out, and go from there.
Moving forward, right?
Moving forward to other, I entertain a motion for warrants and bills and payroll.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes of July 26th, 2011 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes. All those in favor? Opposed? Meeting is carried. There's a certificate that needs to be signed for the URIP for 7/1/11 to 6/30/2012. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried.
There was no,
There was no motion in this.
I don't,
I make the motion that we do as Gordon read.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded because I got ahead of myself. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Once again, all those in favor? Opposed? That motion is now carried. The previous non-motion is null and void. Entertain a motion to sign the order to correct the violation as previously discussed.
So moved.
second.
It's been moved and seconded to sign the correction violation as presented by the CEO. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Pending decisions, public service announcement, and performance bonds. I think we had
Number
a
5 on the
concealed weapons background check. I'll be signing those. Or I'll be reviewing them for signature. I won't automatically sign them because... Okay.
Move adjourn. So we're not there yet?
No, I'm trying to get this computer to work. Our reminders. Wednesday, August 3rd at 7 PM, the planning board will meet in the town office meeting room. Also on August 3rd at 5 PM, the 2020 Comprehensive Plan Committee will meet at the Central Fire Station. On Monday, August 8th at 7 PM, the Cemetery Committee will meet at the Town Hall. On Monday, August 8th at 6 PM, the Road Review Committee will meet in the Road Review Office. And Tuesday, August 9th will be the next Selectmen's meeting in the Town Office Meeting Room. Reports will be received from the Planning Board, the ZBA, and the Town Planner. And we have one other item.
I think you scratched the 2021 for this week. I believe it's going to be on the 11th at 6 o'clock. I think they've changed the time. People haven't had time to come in at 5. I believe it's going to be at 6 when they move.
Okay, we'll change one of our reminders regarding the 2020 Comprehensive Plan. That date has been changed to August 11th, and that was at 6 o'clock. And the location remains the same, the Central Fire Station? Okay.
I am going to be out of town all next week, so I won't be here. for the meeting next Tuesday.
And for those of you that might have missed Selectman Gerard, she's on vacation this week and is up north. And next week, we won't have David with us. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
You got it. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Good night.